Hello, everybody. Today I'm going live. I'm going to turn out this light. This is a little too bright in here. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Okay, today I'm going live and I'm going to answer a question that was asked from my last live stream, which was, how do I combat extreme fatigue during menopause? And this is a big thing because, you know, these hormonal changes hit us pretty hard and make us feel really unsafe in our bodies because all of a sudden our bodies are changing. We don't know what's going on, uh, things that we used to do before just aren't working. And the whole fatigue thing can really throw you for a loop because all of a sudden now you may want to be doing things in the day that you used to be doing or could do or had the capacity to do, and then all of a sudden you can't do anything but lay on the floor and just rest. And so those are the times where we really need to take time for ourselves, make space in our day, reflect on our lives, how we're scheduling ourselves, what we're thinking about 90% of the time, where we're putting our energy, where our energy is getting siphoned in our life as well, and how we're really taking care of our body. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I answered the question on the chat on the last live that I had that was with my friend Tanya Saunders. We did one about the truth about menopause and really what your doctors won't tell you and how you can take steps to heal yourself naturally and get your hormones back into balance. But also we talked about hormonal replacement therapy, and Tanya shared her experience with that too. So we're, with this, we're not saying not to do that. You can definitely go that route. But I've been a personal trainer for over 20 years. I'm a holistic personal trainer and holistic nutrition and lifestyle coach. And I teach my clients how to work in these lifestyle changes that can really go a long way. And it all really starts with taking care of your body. And you want to lean into that self-care even more during this time. It's even more important. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And these are the things that I also experience. I've gone through menopause, still going through menopause technically, and because I haven't lost my period for a year yet. It hasn't been quite a year, but it's been close. And thyroid issues in the past, and I've had to switch gears for that. I'm going to share my experience with that too, and how I help my clients with that, because I see clients with hypothyroidism too. And this can be very similar to the hormonal changes you go through in menopause, because it is affecting your thyroid as well, because we're just not producing those sex hormones that we did before that in a way provide a lot of anabolic muscle growth, and it helps metabolism. So when we don't have that anymore, we really do have to support the body to be more anabolic and less catabolic, which is going to make you more tired, and it's going to make it harder to sleep sometimes and to get rest and to have mental clarity. We have that brain fog. You see, exactly, great example. I have a little brain fog today, or frogginess, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm feeling tired today too, so this is very, very, it's perfectly appropriate for what we're going to talk about today. Sometimes you just get tired and you just need to take the steps without trying to figure it out. Just take the steps to support your body in that moment, accept where you're at. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, let's see. Okay, so I also want just to say that these live streams are really fun for me. I've been enjoying them, and I'm getting on here. I'm going to try to do it every week, do my best to do it every week for you all, to get more interaction with you. And I tend to do better when my content isn't scripted. I just like to talk about what I know and what I've experienced in my line of work, in my own personal life, and share that with y'all. So possibly that could help you in your life too, or it can inspire you to take action in your life to get healthier. So the question again, how to combat extreme fatigue during menopause. So they use the word extreme. And I want to say thank you for this question. I want to see give credit to who asked it. I don't, Milanovo, I think is what it is. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry, but thank you for asking this question because it is really important. And extreme fatigue can just really, like I said, it can just really put you in a mode where you can't do anything. You're just basically all you can do is lay on the floor and rest. And I had one of those days on Tuesday. I was helping my in-laws move to a different location, and they had a lot of stuff, and I was helping them, and I was there for them. I was happy to help them. I had been planning on helping them with that, but it was an extra layer of stress in my life, and I'm already pretty sensitive going through menopause as well. So when we have to remember that when we're putting another layer of stress on ourselves, we have to take the steps to recover from that stress. And that's really important. So, so just keep that in mind when you have an extra layer of stress in your life, whether it's mental stress or physical stress. You're going to have to take time to rest. You're going to have to create the space in your day to recover from that even more than you did before. So that's important to remember because you're more sensitive, you're more insulin resistant in the way of what you take in as well as food. So you're not going to metabolize your carbohydrates and even your proteins the same way. And that's why we want to up our proteins, like I said in the last live stream, so that you can really support your body and not be nutrient deficient. Because when we're nutrient deficient, that can also create a lot of fatigue because the body is slowing you down because it doesn't want to use energy that it doesn't have. It doesn't have any reserves there. So that's important to remember too. So really everything that we're going through during these hormonal fluctuations are just an extreme of what's already there, right? So you may have not felt the extreme of this before, but because you have this extra hormonal shift, which is another stress on your body, that's going to create a nutrient deficiency too, because you're using more nutrients to recover from this. It's just like with anything we go through in our lives where our bodies have to work really hard. Same thing with pregnancy. So we're going to start with blood sugar regulation, which is really important. And all of these are suggestions. These are just places to start. I'm going to give you some guidelines, some very general guidelines that you can go through and check, like a checklist to see where you need more focus on in your life, and then start there. Okay. So the blood sugar regulation is the first thing. And again, you're more sensitive to carbs because you're more insulin resistant during this time because our hormones have switched over from estradiol to estrone, and that gets produced in the adrenals and in the fat cells. So that's going to make us more sensitive to stress. And whereas where we were producing estradiol in the ovaries before, which was our sex hormone, and that was really protecting us a little bit more from the stress, as well as progesterone. We're producing that too. And that is going to help you recover faster from the stress that you put on your body. So we're not producing that as much anymore. We switched our hormones over to estrone, and they're being produced in a different place. So keep that in mind too. That's why we're more sensitive to stress in that way. So you want to regulate your blood sugar. So that means eating well, actually, even before I go into that, I'm just gonna go through a few questions to ask yourself here, which is, these are some check-ins that I do myself, and I have my clients do as well. First of all, ask yourself if you're eating enough during the day. Are you skipping meals? Are you choosing this time in your life to fast or do intermittent fasting or try that out? This is not the time to do that. I do not recommend skipping meals during this time. Even though you're like, oh, I've gained weight, I feel like I need to lose weight, so I must cut my calories. And that's going to depend on the person, of course, and how much you're eating. We're going to get to that question too. But are you eating enough? Are you eating enough to keep those nutrients in your body going? If are getting enough nutrients to keep your body going during this time and to recover from the stress that you're experiencing? That's a very big question. The other one is, of course, are you eating too much? And are we overeating? And then that we're just gaining weight really fast because maybe we're eating the way we used to, and which was what we needed before, but now we need to curb it back a little bit, or just become more aware of how much we're eating there and just scale that back a bit. And so that's really important to realize too. Are you balancing your macronutrients? So our macronutrients are our fats, our carbohydrates, and our proteins. And we need to make sure we're getting a certain percentage of each of those in order to have a good balanced, high functioning metabolism. We need to be balanced in our macronutrients. So what I realized that is I was doing too much fat, and I've always really done a lot of saturated fat in my diet. I love eating saturated fat. It helps me feel satiated. It's great for getting, saturated fat is good for getting in your diet so that you can metabolize your fat soluble vitamins, like vitamin A and vitamin D. But if we're getting too much of that, which is probably about over 20% of your macro intake there for fat, then you're probably overdoing it. And what we normally do when we eat a lot of fat is we offset the fat with more carbohydrates. But if you're sensitive to carbohydrates during this time, that's going to actually make you gain weight. And of course, when I say carbohydrates, I'm talking about root vegetables, fruits, and tubers like squash, not so much the grains and those kinds of things. So, because of you're more sensitive to carbs, you want to probably scale your saturated fat back a little bit. I wouldn't recommend polyunsaturated fat, which is what we find in nuts and seed oils, and a lot of the things that they add to processed foods. I would really scale that back as much as you possibly can, because that can create free radical damage in the body, and it can really age you faster, as well as it can tank your energy big time. So as far as the fats go, stick to the good, healthy, saturated fats. Like the fats we get, a lot of the protein you're going to get is probably going to already have fat in it, unless it's a really lean meat like a chicken breast or something. So you've already got that in there. You don't really need to add the fat to it. And then it comes from dairy. Add coconut oil to what you're cooking and those kinds of things. And just really high quality organic meats is gonna get the right kind of saturated fat in your diet as well. And so we want to make sure we're not, we want to balance that out. And the tool I use for that is the Chronometer app. There's many different apps you can use for that. I think Fitbit has something like that too, but I love Chronometer because I can see the percentages of the macronutrients that I'm getting in. It gives me an idea of what I'm doing during the day, because putting it down or tracking it, sometimes it's really hard to tell where you're at with it. And so it's giving you just a holistic picture of what's going on and what you're actually eating during the day, and how you can tweak that a little bit to lose the weight and to have more energy. So look at those macronutrients. And then, of course, like I talked about in the last video, we want to up our protein. And that's generally 90 grams of protein to 150 a day. So I've heard anything from 90 to 130 to 150 grams a day for women who are going through menopause. And that's because we're not synthesizing the protein as well as we were before. Mainly, we're not digesting it and assimilating it. So you want to up it to really support the body in its process of getting that protein to create the structure of your body, which also helps with muscle building, which we're going to get into as well. And that's going to help the metabolism too. So I would look at that. Are you balancing your macronutrients well? Like how much of these macronutrients are you getting in each meal? Make sure you're getting 3 to 5 meals a day. And if you're eating too much, make those meals smaller. And of course, how frequently are you eating? I just mentioned 3 to 5 meals a day. That's pretty general. You can figure out what's right for you. But for most people who are going either through like a hypothyroidism thing, a hormonal regulation phase, or menopause, perimenopause, generally keeping the blood sugar balanced is going to require you to eat 3 to 5 meals a day. And again, those meals don't have to be huge. They just need, they're just teaching your body and your nervous system to relax and feel safe and know that you've got nutrients coming in very consistently. And that's going to help with sleep at night too. So I highly recommend trying that. One thing I really love to do is eat a nice breakfast, a nice substantial breakfast in the morning. It really grounds me. I used to not be so hungry in the morning, and I've talked to many clients that just don't have an appetite in the morning. So if that's you, then just work yourself up to it slowly. And eat a light breakfast, and then as you start feeling your energy is getting better and more grounded in the morning, then begin to get a little bit more protein heavy breakfast, one that you can digest easily. Eggs are really great for that. You can do like a 2-egg omelet with a little bit of cheese or something like that, or maybe some turkey. That's pretty low fat meat that I like to put in there as well, because I'm cutting my fat right now, and it's been helping me lose weight. And so that's something you can do. It's really simple to make. It takes like 5 minutes. And that's one of my go-tos for sure in the morning. So it also just curbs that cortisol. We naturally have cortisol in the morning, which is what you want to get your body moving, but you want to curb that cortisol a little bit with your breakfast in the morning so that you can have a more stable blood sugar throughout the day. So if you wait too long to eat breakfast, or you have coffee without eating anything, that's going to actually raise your cortisol levels and your adrenaline levels. And that's going to make you, that's going to create more stress in your system, in your body. And so that's not going to be good either. So keep those in mind. Again, these are general recommendations. You got to figure out what works for you. This is what has worked for me and my clients and what I've used throughout the years. And again, these very practical stuff. So if you haven't explored these yet, maybe try it and see how that works for you, right? The other thing is, of course, we talked about the frequency of your eating. Like, are you spreading meals out throughout the day? Are you eating all your calories in one meal? Like, are you eating everything at dinner because you're just so hungry because you've skipped meals during the day, or you've been too busy to eat? Or you are maybe eating on the go, eating in the car, standing up, or whatever it is. Take time to eat your food, be with your food, take 30 minutes just to be present with it. That's really helpful. And what that does is it gets your nervous system back into this parasympathetic nervous system mode, which is a rest and digest mode, which really aids the body in combating stress, and will also get you more in a rest mode, because if we're in a sympathetic nervous system mode all day, which is fight or flight, then you can see how you're going to be really even more tired, even more fatigued, and it may be harder for you to get to sleep at night because of what you've been doing during the day. Most people focus on just what they do right before they go to bed at night, which is super important too. But you also have to think about how you've conducted your day. Like, what have you been doing during the day to support the sleep at night? That's really important, and that's something I share with all my clients, and I practice myself. I'll notice if I skip a meal, I'm probably not going to sleep very well that night. So that's what works for me. So those are the questions to ask yourself. I'll go through those questions just one more time, a recap. Are you eating enough? Are you eating too much? Are you balancing your macronutrients? Are you eating frequently enough and spreading your meals out throughout the day? So those are the things you want to think about as it relates to your diet, because that is a real foundational way of grounding yourself, of really bringing your nervous system back into a rest and digest, which is important for recovery. Because if we're not in that mode and we're in a fight or flight mode most of the day, then it's going to be hard for your body to rest. It's going to be hard for you to relax. It's going to be hard for you to recover from any stress that you've put yourself under, even working out and those kinds of things. Okay. So remember that as well. Okay. So the next thing is exercise. Okay. The best thing that you can do for yourself, it seems counterintuitive because you're so freaking tired and just lay down on the sofa. You feel like you just can't do anything. Now, if you're in that mode, just rest, listen to your body and let yourself get the rest it needs. But if you feel like you got some energy, go slow with it. Don't go crazy with this crazy workout or really long like jog or something like that. Just ease into it because you're real sensitive to stress right now. So slowly bring yourself into building that exercise endurance, right? And we want to really focus on the muscle building during this time. So the more anabolic, so less endurance exercise and more exercise like muscle building, strength training, and some light cardio that really supports the muscle building. And I'm going to go through that as well. I've got 2 top cardio suggestions that I have for that as well. And so when you do these short muscle building sessions with yourself or short cardio sessions, that will, just be in a place where that's enough, right? Sometimes we work out because we want to lose weight, but then we don't feel like we're doing enough. Just be okay with that. Set a time, like even if it's like 10 minutes of cardio, just be okay with that because you're building, right? And you're allowing your body to recover. So we're getting the movement, we're building the muscle, we are building, we're what word am I looking for here? We're supporting the mitochondria in the muscle to produce the ATP, which is going to help with our energy. And so we want to do that gradually, especially if we're in a very exhausted state. And the paradox here is the more that you do that, and the more frequently you do that, the more energy you're going to have, because that's going to stimulate the body to stimulate the muscle, which gives you more energy and it supports the metabolism so much. So that's what I would say about that. So think about exercise. Are you doing too much? Are you doing not enough exercise? Or are you doing the right exercise for where you're at right now in your life, the phase that you're in? So the right exercise, of course, in my opinion, would be the muscle building, right? So we can do 20 to 30 minutes of muscle building and give yourself rest in between the sets, and make it really simple. For example, if you do a squat, if you know how to do a proper squat or a proper deadlift, those are going to work a lot of muscles out. Injury, or you have some back issues or something, or whatever you're dealing with, and go and get the help you need to get back into balance with that, and then get into your standard, strength training exercises, which squat. I'm using the squat and the deadlift are very great lower body exercises because they hit a lot of muscles at once. Like you're using a lot of all your leg muscles, like right. So uh, we're using a lot of hamstring, glute. You're also using your lower leg muscles. You're using your hips. You're using your core, back, everything, pretty much the whole body, right? Depending on where you have the weight, of course. And same thing with the deadlift. Like we're using pretty much the whole body, but mostly legs, mostly hamstrings and glutes to raise the bar, raise the weight off the floor. So if you're just doing like maybe 2 to 3 sets of those, on different days, you don't have to add in a whole bunch of other exercises or do a long workout. Same thing with upper body. Like we don't have to just work our biceps. We can actually do a lat pull down or a row. Same thing with triceps. We can do a press or push up on the floor. Just keep it really, really simple. And within that, just see, okay, is my core engaging? Is it stabilizing me when I'm doing these exercises? Do I need to go back to some core exercises here and activate the core? Or, am I, warming up properly? Am I stretching? Stretching is a great way also to recover and support the body without putting too much stress on the body as well. So if you have a day where you just don't feel like moving so much, or, you can't even muster up the energy to walk, just go for a walk, then go do a stretch session. You could just do it on the floor, watch TV or something, and just kind of relax and feel your body. That could be maybe enough. So, but really we want to have as consistent as possible a small strength training session. I would say, start with 2 days a week and then go up to 3 to 4 days a week with that. Okay. Okay. Cardio. So cardio is important as well because we want to get circulation in the body. It helps with recovery. Actually, it helps with if we've got sore muscles from working out the day before. It really helps aid the recovery through circulation. It also increases strength. But you don't want to use cardio that is going to combat the effects that you're getting from your weightlifting workouts. So you don't want to go too catabolic. That's why I say not do the endurance, because number one, it's going to create a lot of stress, that you really need right now in the body. It's gonna require you to have a lot of recovery time, so a lot of rest, and it's going to create more catabolic effect in the muscle growth. So you're going to have less muscle growth when you're doing too much endurance exercise. When you look at endurance athletes, they're very, most of them are very thin, and they've got high metabolism. They don't have a lot of muscle. And so the cardio, I would suggest walking is a great way to do your cardio. You can walk out in nature. It's really wonderful for many things at once. You get that emotional regulation. You get your nervous system regulation as well through that. It's just nice to be in nature. It's very grounding. And then you can also just get that movement in nature. You get to connect with yourself and you're walking too. You get to kind of move all those thoughts, through the head as you're walking. It's great for that. And so you're not holding that in your body. It's a great time of reflection too. And just having that time for yourself, that's really important. And then the other thing, my other favorite is the elliptical. I really love the elliptical because it's key. It's not, it's kind of like, I can't even think of the word right now. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. It's really helping you do the circulation and even a little bit of muscle building too, but it's not too stressful on the body, as opposed to like a sprint or if you were doing the bike, which is a lot, very hard on the legs, it's just going to give you that circulation. It's going to give you what you need in a very low impact way as well. Low impact is important because we want to keep our joints healthy. And during this time, we're going to be a little more sensitive on the higher impact stuff, right? It's going to affect our bodies a little differently. Our structure is not going to be maybe stabilizing the same because our hormones have changed. So I love the elliptical because it's just a nice thing you can do that feels good. It can get circulation going, get you to sweat, which is really important. And you can stay in your anabolic state, your muscle building state with this because you're not stressing your body out too much. It's really aiding the recovery process as well and getting everything moving and circulating so that you aren't having so much soreness the next day too. So start with 20 minutes, or if 20 minutes is too hard, do 10 minutes and do it in a way if you've been in this really tired, fatigued state, then don't let your heart rate get over 130. Try to stay in that 125 to 130 range. This is what I'd recommend. And I think that's about it for that. If anybody has any questions, let me know on that as well. And the third thing is I call it mental stacking. So it's when we're stacking all this mental stress on ourselves, and because we're thinking about all these things that maybe we don't need to really be thinking about or worrying about, but we're just used to doing it. It's an old familiar pattern that we've taken on throughout the years. And maybe it's because, at this moment, you just don't feel safe in your body, right? So it starts to bring on a lot of anxiety. I mean, that's the, if you don't feel safe in your body, then it's really hard to be relaxed, right? It creates anxiety and mental chatter and mental stress. I hear that from a lot of women, that the mental chatter is insane. It just starts, and I experience that too. And that's something that you can do by just taking the load off of yourself, by not thinking about things or concerning yourself with things that aren't really in your highest and best interest in that moment. Because now we're bringing the focus back to ourselves. We want to bring all that self-care back to ourselves, right? We're leaning hard into that because this is the time. And if we've been helping others for a long time, if we've been in service to others, and really been navigating from a place of, from an outside place, the outside world, getting our needs met through the outside world and not meeting our needs really from the inside out that way, then we're going to also have a hard time with this, right? So it's a repatterning, it's reprogramming, relearning of how to bring that energy back to you. And so if we can, begin to reflect more in our lives, like what do we need to keep mentally, right? What do we need to, where does our focus need to go as it relates to what we're thinking about all the time? What are we thinking about 90% of the time? Are we thinking about things that are going on in the world that we have no control over? Are we thinking about, are we anxious about how we're showing up in the world? Are we anxious about something that's going on in our lives or a challenge that we're going through? How can you release that, as much of that as you can in that moment, and just be with what is right now? So that's an acceptance of what is right now. Oftentimes we are stuck in the past, or we're stuck in the future, thinking about the future or the past, and that doesn't really put us in the present moment very well. So when we can get more into the now with ourselves, we can acknowledge what is happening right now, and we can acknowledge what is real, right? That's really important. Then we can put ourselves into more of the present moment with ourselves, and then we can meet our needs, right? We can meet our body's needs. We can meet the needs of our emotional self, of our mental self, right? Of all of the above, our child self, we can be present for that. So I think that's really important to start to reflect on, okay, am I thinking too much about what's happened in the past? And then everything that I'm doing is a reflection of that, or everything I'm seeing in my world is a reflection of that? Or am I thinking too much in the future? So that's taking me out of the present moment. So I can't enjoy what's here in front of me right now. So that really takes a lot of energy. So again, that can be exhausting you too, because you're thinking about too many things that maybe you have no control over. What do you have control over now? You have control over how you take care of yourself. You have control in how you meet your own needs. So I'd start there first, and that's going to bring the energy back to you. And if we're not doing that, this is what I call a chi leak. You can just leak that chi, that life force energy, right out to everybody else in the outside world. And it's exhausting. And maybe we've been doing that for most of our lives, but now's the time to bring that energy back in. And it may take time, because if you've been doing that for a long time, it may take a while to get back to you, to connect back with yourself, to bring that energy back into you, and to really cultivate your own life force energy, right? And that spills into your metabolism, and that as a direct correlation to how your metabolism functions, how your metabolism works as well, and how our hormones will regulate and balance out, as we also can balance out in our mental capacities as well. There's a lot more to that. I'm not going to get as deep into that, but today, but I just want to cover that and give you guys a little bit of a little taste of how you can reflect on that in your own life. Throw out what you don't need to remember, what you don't need to feel pressure to do, and then start to focus on the things that really matter to you most. And what helps with that is to start to get clear on what you value. So when you get clear on what you really value in this moment in time, because that can change, right? But get clear on what you value right now, and then focus all your energy into that. So maybe right now, what you value right now is rest. Maybe what you value right now is your health. So then you just start focusing your energy into that. And so that's what's most important right now, right? So that's an example of what I'm talking about. One tool I use for the mental anxiousness or the mental chatter, and I don't do this as much anymore, but I used to just write. I just used to write in my journal, write whatever thoughts were coming through, no matter if they made sense or not. This really worked well first thing in the morning. And that way I got all this stuff out of my head, out of my body. So I wasn't holding it in myself anymore. This can also work if you feel like you have a lot of to-dos during the day, so you don't have to try to remember them. Just write them down on a piece of paper, or if there's something that you need to do and you're about to go to bed and you don't want to forget it, write it down, then you don't need to worry about it anymore. It's written down for you to remember the next. You don't have to hold it. You can let it go, right? Okay, so also the next thing is breathing. Breathing is so important in how we really get, how we recover our bodies, how we get rest, how we get out of this state of tiredness and fatigue. Breathing through the nose is really going to help. And I've done a video on this if you want to check that out. It's about nose breathing. I can't remember the name of it right now, but you can look at my channel and find it. It's real easy to find. And I talk about how nose breathing is really wonderful for increasing your oxygen uptake, your VO2 max naturally. And because when we're mouth breathing, we're really expelling a lot of carbon dioxide, and we're not able to retain oxygen the same way. And that's mainly because people are in a fight or flight most of the day, or they're really anxious, right? And they're talking a lot, or maybe you're doing a lot of cardio and you're not breathing through your nose. And there's various ways that this can come about. Maybe you're on the computer and you're breathing through your mouth, whatever it is you have to focus on, and you're not aware of what's going on in your body. So when we breathe through the nose, we actually relax the body more. And what I love about it is it helps, it aids in getting nutrients to the tissues. So you're going to retain more carbon dioxide, which is going to deliver the oxygen to the tissues. And that really helps the oxygen uptake. It helps get more nutrients to the tissues. It helps you recover much faster. It helps you build your muscle, which is going to aid in your recovery and in the fatigue that you're feeling, because it's going to increase your energy. If you've ever done like a breathwork session before and you get a lot of oxygen into your body, you feel alive. You feel like, oh my God, I feel so vital, right? That's because you're getting more oxygen in, which you weren't before. It's amazing when we actually experience that and see, oh my God, we haven't actually been breathing at our full capacity to realize the potential of our energy here, right? So by just simply practicing nose breathing, just noticing when you're mouth breathing, closing the mouth and start to nose breathe, right? And that's really it. Just being aware of that throughout the day, how much you're doing it. That can get you more in your your parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to help you digest your food. It's going to help you recover and rest better. It's going to set the stage for a great night of sleep. And so over time, when you practice that, it's like the little things you do every day is what really amount to the big things. And so we want to do that as well. So we want to really pay attention to our breathing. Now, breathing also really gets you into your body. It grounds you, especially if you're going through some kind of emotional feeling, or we're feeling overwhelmed. Coming back to your breath really brings you into the present moment. It brings you into the now with yourself, where there is pure potential, and it helps your body. It helps you get out of the past and the future and get into your body now, which is important. And that's what we want to do more and more during this time, is we want to start to get into our body more and more, feel the body, even if it doesn't feel great. Like, accept how you feel right now and do what you need in that moment to support it. That's all you got to do. It won't last forever. But the more you support it that way, the more you pay attention to it, the more you love it, the less time it will take to go through this, I guarantee you. But the more we try to push it away, the more we try to fix it, the more we try to not accept it or resist it in our life, the more the symptoms are going to amplify. And there's a lot of great advice out there about menopause and about hormonal regulation and even hypothyroidism, and they're all great. But the bottom line is, you got to learn how to value your own self, and by practicing those self-care, just reflecting in the moment. How do I feel right now? And what do I need to do to support my body? Maybe it's just laying on the ground. Maybe it's just laying on the sofa and resting for the rest of the afternoon. And that's okay. This time in our life really humbles us. And when your body is changing and you don't recognize it anymore like you used to, that's the most humbling experience. And that's not a bad thing. It's great to be humble, because we learn from those experiences and those challenges. And then we learn, most importantly, what matters most to us in our lives, instead of focusing on all the stuff that doesn't really matter, right? So that's a great way to do it. And in breathing, it really gets you back into that present moment. It just feels good. Take a nice deep breath, right? You can feel your body. You can actually feel how you feel. Sometimes we're numbing our feelings out, right? Because we're just trying to get through the day, or we don't want to feel it. It's a great way to process your day, process your emotions, process what you're feeling, is through your breathing. All right, so the next thing is the rest and recovery piece. Okay, so this is all setting you up for a better sleep, because most women going through this are having hard time sleeping, and they're so exhausted during the day. All they want to do is sleep, lay their head on the pillow. Maybe you get to sleep right away, and then you wake up in the middle of the night a bunch of times, or you wake up really early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, and you just don't feel like you're getting restful sleep. It's erratic. It's, you feel like, what the heck is going on, right? And, maybe that's just where you're at, and that's okay. Again, it's just making you pay attention to your own needs right now. So look at all the things we talked about before this, check in with those, and see what changes you can make to support your body better. See what works for you. That's my best advice on that. In addition to that, notice when you need to rest. Are you feeling like, oh my God, I can't do another thing right now. I gotta lay down. Well, just go lay down. Be okay with that. It's fine. It's a vulnerable time, but this is when we need to lean into that vulnerability a little bit more, because our body really needs it. And maybe this is the first time we've ever done this. And it's you taking time to reflect, taking time to get still, and you get the opportunity to do that at this time in your life, which is really special. And I think it's a beautiful time. Recovery tools. Notice how you recover after your workouts, right? It's really important to pay attention to that. Like 1 to 2 days after, what is your energy like? How sore are your muscles? That's going to give you an idea of, okay, I need to peel it back a little bit, the intensity, or I recovered really well. I can continue on, or maybe bring up the intensity a little bit more and see how that feels, right? So notice how you're recovering from the stress that you experience every day, and also your workouts, right? How are you eating to aid that recovery? Are you stretching? Are you having some downtime for yourself? Are you having time to play even? Like, are you creating any space in your day for either downtime or play? Whether it's an art piece you want to work on, whether it's maybe like playing music, whatever it is. What do you like to do? What do you want to have space for in your day that's just for you? That's really important too. And that's going to help our body relax as well. It's going to really bring the energy back into you, ultimately, because you're focusing on what you love. And that's another point is, okay, where are you focusing? We talked about the mental, right? Where are you focusing on the things that you really love in your life? Or are you focusing on the things that could go wrong? Are you afraid to get things wrong? Are you worried about what people are going to say? Are you wanting to please other people? Is that like kind of how you've built your identity, is helping people? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on negative stuff all the time? That can take a lot of energy. Are you focusing on what's wrong with you? What's wrong with your body? What you need to fix all the time? That can be really draining. So I would also say, without bypassing any feelings that you feel, begin to also start to focus on the things you love in your life. What's already there? What's already right in front of you? What do you really appreciate in your life? And begin to focus on those things too. And that's going to help balance out your energy as well. And again, if you're tired, rest. I mean, that's just really simple, right? But many of us just override that, or we forget to do that. But it's not It's okay if you feel tired. It really is. It's just a part of life, right? Another thing I did not mention yet is hydration. We want to make sure we're getting good quality water, preferably with minerals in it. Make sure it's filtered and you have minerals in it. You can squeeze some lemon or lime in there as well. That will help a lot with minerals. And I have a little water structure device that I use that spins the water, makes like a tornado inside the water. Um, and what that does is it reoxygenates the water, so it turns it into, it structures it back into what you'd find in nature in spring water. And that was only like $100 or so, and it was totally worth the money because the water tastes completely different. I can feel my body absorbs the water so much differently with this because it's oxygenated, and so it just really is. It's different than the water we get in the tap, right? Because it's actually alive. And so when you're drinking high quality water like that, and you're drinking it often enough, then that's also going to bring energy into it. It's going to help with your oxygen as well, which brings energy into the body. So I would highly recommend, if you don't already have a water filtration system or device that you can use, get one of those. And then if you want to take it one step further, get that water structure device, which I love so much. And it really helps me absorb the water, and not pee it out right away. So sometimes we'll drink a lot of water and then we'll kind of pee it all out. It means that the water probably doesn't have anything to it. It's just like your body's just letting it go because there's nothing that it can absorb right within the water. So the water needs to have a structure that your body can absorb. And so that's why the structured water is amazing, and I highly recommend it. Okay, last thing, detoxification. Okay, we want to lighten our toxic load. Toxins in the form of body products, in the form of toxins in our food, those things can really place a heavy burden on our liver. And when you do that, you affect your hormones. It affects your hormonal production because many, especially thyroid hormone, gets produced in the liver. And so because of that, we really want to take care of our liver. We also want to, lower the alcohol intake. If alcohol can be affecting your sleep, it can be affecting your energy, it can affect your liver function. And anything that affects the liver function is going to affect our energy systems as well, because it's going to affect the thyroid. And the thyroid's a master regulator of your metabolism. And so that's why it's important to support that. So we want to make sure that we are supporting the liver. And that's like, through eating well, like we talked about, right? Not bringing a lot of toxins. Like the first thing you can do is just not have a lot of toxins in your food or in your body products. So there's a lot of body products that are non-toxic that they make these days that you can seek out and find those products, the makeup products, the shampoo, conditioner, face cream, whatever it is. Make sure those are not toxic, because you don't want to add toxins in to the body so that your liver has to work harder. That's going to be, that's a lot of times also why we have skin conditions, because we're putting more burden on the liver to do more work, to work through these toxins, right? And the same thing with food. Make sure you're eating high quality food that doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it, preservatives, or that hasn't been fed, crap. Like the animals haven't been fed crap. Like they're eating what they're supposed to be eating, what they're naturally supposed to be eating. And just eating more fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, organic meats, and just including more of that in your diet, right? That's a very simple way to go about it. The other way we can detoxify and support the detoxification system is to move, right? We talked about exercise. You can do your cardio. your short cardio workouts. You can do your muscle building workouts. You can also, if you're not having too many hot flashes, you can get into sauna. I love sauna, especially in the wintertime. And so we can do, things, anything that makes you sweat, that you can get that circulation going. You can stretch. You can use the cupping, the acupuncture cup, silicone cups to move on your fascia, right? To lift up the fascia so that you can move your joints better. You can get a massage. All these things really support the detoxification system. You can even massage yourself. I use massage a lot in the neck here because we have some lymph nodes in that area. Just do a little bit of that every once in a while, right? At night, it's really good to do too. Stretching is wonderful for that as well. So I just want to make sure that those are just, again, general guidelines, things that you can move through and check yourself to see, okay, how am I meeting my body's needs? How am I meeting my needs as well? Not just my body, but my spiritual needs, right? My soul's needs. That could be the play. That could be the creativity as well. And yeah, the only thing I didn't talk about is downtime. Okay, so winding downtime at night is really important to get quiet at night. You can watch a TV show or something, but use blue light glasses if you're going to watch a screen, so that doesn't get your adrenaline and your cortisol going before you go to bed at night. You can read before you go to bed at night, as long as it's nothing that gets your mind going. Make sure you get low lights at night too. Like we have these rock lights that give a really nice glow, like a fire glow, which really relaxes the nervous system. We also have candles. We eat it in candlelight for dinner time when it gets darker earlier. We have a really relaxing dinner situation where we sit on the floor. We have a low table, like a Japanese table, seated situation for dining. And it's just really, everything we do in the evening is just really relaxing the nervous system so that we can get into sleep much easier. So no bright lights, keep the lights low. Maybe lay on the floor to watch TV. That's a nice relaxing thing. I just put my little rug down, the sheepskin rug, and then lay down on that. It's nice and relaxing. And I watch a show or something with my husband. And then we go to bed. We have our blue light glasses on. So you don't have to completely, throw everything out. You can still do the things you enjoy, but just do them a little bit differently, right? And the other thing I will say, which I didn't talk a lot about today either, but this is so important, is meditation, okay? I mean, we know we have to meditate, right? We know that's important. We know that's important to do on a regular basis, but so many of us just have a hard time getting still to meditate, especially if we've got a lot of mental chatter all the time, all of a sudden, and we're feeling unsafe in our bodies. During this time, it is very important to meditate. That's the one thing that really helped me get through last summer, which was crazy. It was so hard to really feel like myself because I was going through all these hormonal changes. And I would just continually go back to stillness. I would continually go back to meditating, in addition to taking steps I needed to take care of my body. And I really love guided meditations. If you have a hard time meditating, if you have a hard time, like if you're kind of ADHD and you have a mind that just kind of runs off on its own, try the guided meditation, because the guided meditation will direct your mind and will help you relax and focus on something so that you can really get into the meditation, right? So I would start there instead of just laying down and trying to meditate. Start with a guided meditation, which would be really helpful for guiding your mind, so that your mind doesn't take over. and that you can get into really who you really are, which is your real energy beyond the mind, right? The mind isn't who we are. It's just our vehicle of perception. It's how we perceive the world. So that's why it's important to go beyond that at times, to really feel who are you now, beyond personality, beyond the ego, beyond the mind. Who are you? And start to explore that and start to get familiar with that and get familiar with the unknown, because you're in an unknown right now. So start to get comfortable with the unknown and be willing to go into the unknown here within within I guess the I want to say the protection of the self-care that you're giving yourself, the self-love, right? You're giving yourself more attention right now than you ever have. And that's important. That's what we need to do. Because we've been taught we're supposed to give the outside world more attention and other people, but really we need to bring that back to us. You need to bring that back to yourself so you can take care of yourself. So you can take personal responsibility for yourself. So you can learn to love yourself and have compassion for yourself in this time that you're going through right now. It's not easy, right? But the steps to take care of yourself are simple. And so when you can take time to be with yourself more often and reflect, not think about it so much, but just reflect and be with it, with how you're feeling, that's going to really help you navigate this whole thing. It's going to lead you to where you need to go and the next step to take. And then you get to begin to trust yourself more and more. And this really brings you into this next phase of life, which is amazing. It's a very liberating time. It's a very creative time. It's a very lovely time to be. So I hope you get to a place where you can start enjoying that too. And you can get out of survival mode and feeling exhausted at some point and just feeling that vital energy that is coming back to you right now, that you are calling back in. You're reclaiming your health, right? You're reclaiming your energy. And so that's what we're doing. So thank you all for being here today. This was so much fun. I will do another one next week and give you a little more heads up when that comes out. I'm just right now in the planning phase of this whole thing. But I really love it. And if you ever want to get deeper into these, into this work with me, I have a Finally Thriving community, and it's a monthly membership, and we meet 3 times a month. You have 3 live calls with me. You have access to all replays that we've done so far, so you can look back on those and learn from them as well. We talk about our holistic health. We talk about holistic fitness, and we talk about personal growth in this group together. We're all supporting each other, and I'm helping you become the healthiest version of you that you can possibly be and be empowered that way. Really experience empowered wellness so you can really thrive and feel like the person you were always meant to be, right? I mean, it's just like we're waiting for that person to come out, or we're waiting to see that in the world. Why don't you just do it right now, right? Why don't you just become that person? It's already there. It's just you haven't revealed it to yourself yet. So these are the things that we go through a different theme every month, and it's super fun. So if you want to join that, you can click on the link below this video in the description below. And if you like this video, give it a like. I would love that. It would get it out to more people. Share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe so you can see more lives in the future. Thank you all so much. And I'm sending you all so much love. Mwah. Bye-bye for now.